briefly, I wanted to remind everybody, Tatuaje, because this is important as it pertains to the new black jar. Tatuaje, first created in 2003 by Pete Johnson, the man, and blended by Don Pepin Garcia. This was actually Tatuaje, the original, blend, was the first blend that Garcia did solo, all by himself, no help from anyone. It was the first cigar that he actually created by himself. And up to this day, he's very much involved in all the blending procedures, processes, whatnot, with Pete Johnson's company. But the overall cigars that are released because Pete Johnson's palate says they're okay to be released, and he's got a dynamite palate, I'll tell you that. He knows his shit. I feared for a while that, people's interests change. And I saw Pete Johnson leaning a lot into the wine industry, talking about making his own wine, getting into all that stuff. And hey, that's all well and good, but don't forget the fucking cigars, man. Don't scare me like that sometimes. Anyway, so the 10th anniversary of Tatuaje would be 2013. And that was when this new black in a jar was scheduled to be released. A reminder of the original black in the jar. However, the two are very different as far as the way they're, the jars are not the same at all. They're actually, let me rephrase that. There are differences, but there are also a lot of similarities. Anyway, before we get to that, the original black was created 2007. So, only 4 years after the company first started. At this point, delicious. Delicious. Spices calming down. A lot of vegetal, salty, woody notes opening up, but it's still very musty and earthy. A lot of salt. There's still spice, don't get me wrong, peppery spice on the tongue, but it's calmed down from what it first was. So has that harshness. The aroma is just amazing. It's developing a beautiful bouquet, and this is something I really didn't recognize when I initially was smoking these cigars. As the aroma of younger cigars tends to be a lot less pungent, powerful than those of older cigars. So, 2007, the original black is created. It first came out in bundles, no jar, 25, and then for some reason, I don't know why, I didn't even bother to look it up because whatever, it started becoming bundles of 24. Then all of a sudden, Pete did this magical thing. He releases it in this gorgeous, gorgeous jar. And you got to think, 2007, okay, with Cuba, the oldest Cuban jars are by like H. Upmann. Then you'll see these Seville jars online, which are, Partagas has done them. They're 60s, 70s, and there are even some releases now that mimic those. They're called the aged Reserva aged. They have basically, there's two of them so far. There's one for Upmann, one for Trinidad, Cuban, and they contain 7-year-old cigars. The Upmann one is Magnum 46 and contains 7-year-old Magnum 46s, which is funny because my regular Upmann jar contains 7-year-old Magnum 46s and a lot more of them. The prices are a little high, because there's only I think like 12 cigars in those jars. Anyway, point is they mimic these old. So cigar jars have been around for a long, long time. However, there was a big gap in which there were no jars produced until the millennium, when the millennium jars were produced, 10,000 apiece for Monte Cristo, Cohiba, and Cuava. Today, these jars command prices of anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000 full, and can even fetch a couple of $100 empty on places like eBay, whatnot. Be careful, there are counterfeits. So 2007, Pete Johnson comes out with this, and then all of a sudden on the Cuban side, jars start coming back into the market. Some of the first were La Gloria Cubana. I think that was 2008 or 9. It was 8 or 9. I think 9 actually. So what I'm trying to say is, was it Cuba that inspired Pete Johnson, or was it Pete Johnson that inspired the Cuban market to start producing jars again? Might have been just that, because this was so damn successful and valuable so quickly that Cuban cigar guys might have said, hey, you know what? They had already been doing a lot of things aimed toward the American market. Americans buying Cuban cigars on the internet has been around for a while and becoming a bigger and bigger and bigger monster. And it's a lot of money for Cuba. And they want to produce things that Americans want. We've been talking about this lately. The strength of the cigar, even the blends like La Excepcion coming back. But jars, double bands, mega rarity, presentation, all these things are things that typically Americans are more interested in than the rest of the world with cigars. So, while Cuba probably inspired Pete Johnson to create this jar, I believe that this jar this is my opinion, but I believe this jar inspired Cuba to start producing their jars again. Because even though the Millennium jars came in 2000, there were no jars after that for 8, 9 years. Okay? So that's interesting. Just like all tatuajes. The ash looks beautiful, but eventually just falls off. So that's that. Anyway, what happens is he releases only 1,000 of these jars, and he puts 19 Tatuaje Black cigars in each one. You know, this is really, comes with a little humidifier thing like that. Oh, there's one of my Cuban ones I dropped in. I was wondering where that was. And the bottom is just as nice as the rest of the jar. 19 Pete Johnson Private Reserve, signed by Pete Johnson. Well, you know, kind of like a lithograph signing, whatever thing, however you want to say it. But really, really nice, heavy-duty ceramic, gorgeous, you know, fleur-de-lis. I love it. I love it. It's a beautiful jar. To me, it's the most beautiful jar so far that's been released on the non-Cuban side of things. You know, very simple, elegant, powerful, macho, but elegant. That's the thing, and we'll see with the other jar where I'm like, very cool. But it's not just the jar that makes the cigar special. There are so many little bits of lore and things, and okay, first of all, it's Pete Johnson's private stock blend. The cigar, the tobacco that he reserved for his own cigars to smoke whenever he wanted to. You know, when you're in the cigar industry and you can have access to so many different types of tobacco, you're going to, you know, form the thing that suits you the best. And it's probably going to be really high quality shit. You're not going to skimp. Whatever it was, this cigar came out and people were just like, wow, holy shit. Fans and reviewers alike, you know, that's the thing. The fact, the cigar is rare. Fact, it's Pete Johnson's personal blend. Opinion, but confirmed by so many Tatuaje fans and reviewers alike, the cigar is quite possibly the best Tatuaje cigar ever released at that time, and even today. Even today, people can't get the original black out of their heads. On auction sites, you know, places where people trade, buy cigars, whatever, full jars of Tatuaje have gone for over $1,000. And you now forget it. You can't find them at all. And I have a feeling after this, if somebody came out and put a full jar of Tatuaje Black somewhere, like, it could probably go for easy $1,500, maybe even more. Because even when, I haven't seen them online for years. Probably since 2010. Not a peep. No jars full. Some empty ones, and even those sold for 200 plus. Empty. I had a guy walk into the shop once. This jar sat in our shop after that release for a long time. And it was a decoration, basically, you know? And I had a guy come in, and he came in, he was talking to me, and all of a sudden he just stopped talking. And he's like looking this way. I'm like, you know, you do this thing, like, what happened? And he's staring at this jar. He's like, oh my God. He's like, tell me that thing is not full. I'm like, no, obviously, I'm sorry, it's not. Otherwise, it wouldn't be sitting there. He's like, well, no matter. I'll give you $500 for it. He was going to pay $500 for the jar. And you know what? One thing came to another. Nobody wanted to sell it. You know, we'd ask the boss, you know, I don't think it's really not for sale. It's part of, you know, we didn't sell it. $500. Boss didn't want to sell it. Anyway, I ended up with it. Very nice, very nice. Like I said, it's empty. and I do not personally have any Tatuaje Black cigars. In fact, I've only gotten the chance to smoke 2. It's a shame. It's a real shame. But when they came into our shop, we got so few and they were so limited that it was like Opus X times 10. You know what I mean? The fact that I was even allowed 2 was a big thing. You know, we had to satisfy a lot of people who were looking forward to it. And that was that. I ended up not having any on reserve, and by the time I got around to trying to get some more, it was just too late. But from the numbers, you can see $1,000 full, $200 empty. And these are prices when they were last spotted online. If they were online today, I would say a full jar could easily go for $1,500. And even the cigars themselves, people would probably be willing to spend 50, 70, somewhere between that bucks a pop. Why not? A BBMF is $75 fucking dollars. You wouldn't, you know, if you never had a Tatuaje Black and everybody's telling you it's the best Tatuaje ever and you're a Tatuaje fan, you wouldn't spend $75 for that experience? I would. Anyway, since 2007, the original Black has been re-released and re-released and re-released in 17 different formats. The 17th, the last, being the new jar. Of course, it wasn't exactly the same. One guy online, I often read reviews by, oh, what's the name of it? Half Wheel. I'm sorry. I often read reviews by Half Wheel. Some of them I agree with, some of them I don't. Sometimes, you know, I think this or that or the other thing. But one thing he said that I like, some of the wording he uses is really nice. He said, the Tatuaje Black had been released 17 times over the years, but the best of those was just a mere shadow of the original. And that's the way a lot of people feel. This is a fucking great cigar right now. For it to be called a shadow of the original, that's a bold statement. Honestly, it's so long ago, I remember it being dynamite, you know, but I really can't recall exact, you know, I know it was really, really good. It was really good. Can I say right now that this is as good or better? No, I can't, because it's not giving me, I was very, very impressed with the Black when it first came out. It was a bit harsh, but I see, that's the kind of cigar I wish I had a jar full. Some time on those would have done wonders, but whatever. Anything else to mention? 17 different vitolas. Oh, a lot of those vitolas were available in shops. A lot of them, however, were not. There were special event releases, things like that. So you have the personal blend factor. You have the internet sensation opinion factor of just being a dynamite cigar overall. You have the jar, the presentation factor. And fourth, and very important, you have rarity. 1,000 jars of 19 cigars, that's it. And, you know, in America, that's not a lot at all. There are, you know, it's a niche thing, but there are a lot of, it's a growing population. You know, 1,000 Tatuaje cigar jars is not a lot to go around. Hell, that's why they sell for $200 empty. They're in demand, and they still are, trust me. There are people just getting into collecting who can't stop thinking about the Black. You know, they learned about it through the new Black. But now they're like, oh, I gotta get the old one. And I tell them, you're not getting the old one. I can't get the old one. You're fucking getting the old one. You know? So the rarity factor. And this is why I say, I think Cuba saw all these things and what happened. And the end all was when they saw these things come out at one price and start going for $1,000. They realized, wow, we have some of these, you know, edition limitadas and reservas, you know, regional editions. We can stick these in jars. They're already rare. We put them in a jar. We limit the number. Bang. Good idea. Okay. So of those 17 vitolas, the Corona Gorda shape, the original, has been released 3 times. The original, a second time, which was only like a special event 3-pack kind of thing, not mainstream shops. And now the 3rd time, 10th anniversary. The first one had a nipple cap, you know, that little boop, nipple cap. The second one did not, so you could tell the difference. The third one, the newest one, kind of does. It doesn't seem as pointy, but they're very close. Same size cigar. I put it right here. Oh, 5 5/8 by 46. They both have a kind of a nipple. They both have a closed foot. The only thing that's different is the band. So I'm worried about now, people who do have empty jars, taking the new black. It's easy to get a bunch of black tatuaje bands and slap, there are scumbags, there are people who do that kind of thing, so we're going to have to be a little careful of which is which. And so that's about it. Right here you can see the jar. I'll do a couple of close-up shots of that. You've probably seen this in the background of several of my videos before. Right here, when this came out, this guy, like I said, 2011, this is a 38 by 6, and it came out, and when I first saw it online, this is so funny. I went to a website, and this is me and I never do this again, and it says, Tatuaje Black Release, jar, and it had a price next to it, available, order now. So I was like, Tatuaje Black jar, order now? Holy fuck. So I got all excited and I ordered the thing. Almost the way they presented it was kind of shady, because there was no 25 cigars. The price was so good that I figured even if the fucking thing is empty, I couldn't see where it was saying, how many cigars it was, what size or anything. It just said Tatuaje Black jar price. So I ordered it. I ended up with this. But I'm not disappointed. The price I paid, very good. Not too bad. This is not a fucking jar. If you go online, you'll see websites calling this a jar. This is not a jar, my friends. It's a fucking wooden box. It's just a different shape. Jar. Bunch of fucking... They'll do anything to fucking sell shit, I swear to God. But even this by itself is a pretty cool little collectible. I like it. It's got PJ's logo on there. It's very, very cool. Man, I always can't figure out which way this goes. No, this is... Got a little headiness to this, that's for sure. So that's about it. This is just such a wonderful aroma. I'm almost done with the first third already. A lot of smoke in the room. Everything smells really good. Got some headiness going on, really good feeling. Excellent draw, a bit of firmness, touch of firmness to it that just keeps giving me good, consistent puffs of smoke. And it's burning slowly. It's not going anywhere unless I'm pulling on it. Flavor has not dissipated at all. And I haven't noticed any major change-ups yet, but the only thing that's happened really is spice has simmered down. There's a bit of a sweet finish on the tongue, when you're not smoking it and just kind of seeing what's going on in the mouth. But it's short-lived. If I don't take a puff for say, a minute, with this cigar I've been puffing on every 30 seconds. I mean, it's so good. But, flavor starts to dissipate pretty quickly. Very clean is what I'm trying to say. It's not leaving any kind of bad, foul taste in the mouth. There's no bitterness whatsoever at all, period. So these are really ready to smoke. And harshness has also dissipated a lot. I actually enjoyed that touch of rough, kind of peppery feeling on the pharynx. That's the word, the pharynx. But that has dissipated, and it's become exceptionally smooth for such a strong Nicaraguan cigar at this point. Spice just on the tip of the tongue, prickly, very deep, salty, vegetal flavors. A lot of cedar and this musty aroma. It's just such a great fucking blend. This is a good fucking cigar, man. Really. Really, really is. Now, this cigar was supposed to be released September 2013. That was the proposed date. And it would have celebrated the 10th year. It's still celebrating 10th year anniversary, whatnot. But it wasn't on store shelves till February 2014. And so this is pretty much why it just became this mind lapse for me, or whatever. I'm just so glad that I got my order in. But anyway, this cigar, like I've been saying, I pretty much said it already. Our first third starts with a lot of peppery spice, a lot of notes of cedar, some deep musky earthy notes, and some salty vegetal type notes. A lot going on. The aroma is very sweet, pungent, floral, woody, a lot of cedar in there. I like that initial peppery blast. During the entire first third, the spice really kind of comes down, tones down a lot, but it's still present. I wouldn't say it's as spicy as the L'Inception we just smoked, believe it or not, but maybe very close, you know. Salt is starting to tone down now. A lot of the flavors starting to mingle together. It's becoming a little more nougaty, kind of getting some of those almondy notes, some vanilla notes. Very interesting. Spice is funny right now. It's nowhere. All that pepperiness in the mouth is gone. Harshness is really gone. There's just this tingly spice at the tip of the tongue. It's almost like, it's hard to describe. It's so tingly, and it's almost a feeling when you put your, I don't want to say that, but like, you ever stick your tongue on a 9-volt? And don't do that. It hurts and it tastes bad. I'm not saying this hurts or tastes bad, but it just has this tingly, prickly sensation that's kind of like electrical almost. Very interesting. Very interesting, that little twist right there. I don't know what to compare it to, and I don't know what else does that to my tongue, but this is doing it. Very interesting. Say goodnight, Max.